Waid Harbison here, Chairman of the Cullman County Republican Party. I'm here with James Bowling. James is one of our candidates for House District 9. James, if you want to just start out and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
I'm 40 years old. I've been married to my wife Amanda for 19 years. We've got 2 school-aged children. I graduated from Danville High School. I was born and raised right here in this community. And I worked at Wolverine Tube for 12 years until they closed. I've been in the manufacturing industry for over 20 years, and I owned a small business for a number of years.
So what about your background do you think qualifies you to run for state legislature and be a state legislature if you did win?
I've got a long history of public service. I've been in the fire department pretty much my entire life. My grandfather was a founder of a fire department, so I've been around public service and involved in public service my entire life.
Yeah, that's great. So, well, assuming that you do get elected and you're in office for your first term, what would be 3 main priorities that you would kind of want to do in your first term as a state legislator?
I want to work on trying to return some of the funding back to the mental health service. It's been stripped away over the last several years, or actually for a long time. I want to work on some of the earmarks that are pulling money out of our education system.
Right.
You can look over the top 15 and see that they're good programs, but they have zero to do with education.
Sure.
And we need to work on ethics. We need to have a true ethics reform. It seems like nowadays all the politician has to do is resign and he gets a way out.
Sure.
I believe they should be held more accountable than anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the questions we have here is, education-wise, the state has predominantly not been known for our better education system. So what would you do in the state legislature to kind of change that over and kind of make some headway for education in the state?
Well, I believe education starts local.
Absolutely.
Nobody can tell the local schools what their kids need.
Absolutely.
So I believe we need to reduce some of the bureaucracy coming out of Montgomery and the state school board, and put more emphasis with our local school boards. Let them have more say what happens in our districts.
Absolutely. Well, one thing you may have already been asked kind of on the campaign trail, I know you're around, and we're just kind of asking all of our Republican candidates this, but a lot of people will ask you, how do you feel about new taxes coming up? Because something, a lot of Republicans don't like the word taxes. They don't want to see new taxes. So, if taxes are going to be proposed and come from the legislature, how would you vote on those? What would kind of be your response to those?
Well, you always want to say you're against all new taxes. That's, as a conservative, that's the first thing that comes to your mind.
Sure.
But unfortunately, we will have to look at different sources of funding.
Right.
I, for one, hope I can always vote against a new tax.
Right.
But there may come a time when one comes up that you really have to consider if it's what's best for the people and best for the state.
Absolutely. Another major issue going on in the state right now, the state legislature's kind of wrapping up, and they've been talking about this issue a little bit, but is the prison overcrowding. And we've had some, threats for the federal government having to come in and possibly run the prison system for us. So what do you think that the state legislator could do to resolve this problem? Do you think there's things we could do differently with how we're getting prisoners in there, or sentence reform, or anything along those lines as far as prison overcrowding?
Well, I believe we need to work with our judges and our DAs and see exactly what sentencing guidelines need to be changed.
Sure.
I've heard a lot from judges and DAs that have told me that their hands is tied on some of the sentencing guidelines. Mental health, again, has a lot to do with our prison overcrowding. You've got people that you deem they're dangerous to society. You can't turn them loose, so you're having to hold them in the prison system while real criminals are going through the revolving door.
Absolutely. One thing I think that the state is doing a really good job of right now is economic development, bringing in new industries. Job growth is really great in the state. The last report that came out, Cullman County had a 2.3% unemployment rate, which is historically low. So what would you do if you are in the legislature to make sure we're continuing to have that same job development and growth in the economy?
I believe keeping the state's name in the utmost respect in the nation, that'll go a long ways. Making sure our workforce is ready, being able to promote our workforce. The best way to sell something or any product or anybody is to know the product and the people that you're trying to sell. And I believe in the people in this area and this state.
Sure, absolutely. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we kind of wrap up?
I would like people to really take a hard look, not only at my race, but all of the races.
Sure.
We need to really put emphasis on the experience that candidates have,
Right.
how genuine they are, and what will be best for the state,
Right.
and how accessible your candidates are too. One of the things in my line of work and in my volunteer and my public service is I've always been accessible to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I believe that the people should demand accessibility. When you elect somebody to represent you, you should be able to pick up the phone and talk to them.
Yeah.
And I would love to see that change. Too many times you pick up the phone call and you get a cold shoulder.
Sure, absolutely. Well, James, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you running for office, and good luck on your campaign.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.